Okay, good afternoon. My name is Ashley Owen, and I'm the Associate Dean of Students here at Wofford College. It's my pleasure to be able to coordinate new student orientation for the class of 2028, along with some terrific staff and faculty members across campus. As we get closer to orientation in August, there are several important checklist items that we ask students to complete before their arrival. These are all located in the my.wofford.edu portal on the Wofford website under the FYI tab. A few upcoming deadlines that I especially want to draw your attention to are the housing accommodations request and the medical history and immunization records forms, which are all due on June 15th. So that is this weekend. So if you have not worked on that, if that applies to you, then please look in the portal and see information there. We have found that it's helpful to gather via video conference several times throughout the summer through this Terrier Talk series to walk through how to complete certain tasks and introduce you to important people. So today, we just want to make sure that we introduce who is on the call. At this time, we want to introduce you to Dr. Cynthia Curry, who is the Director of Academic Advising, Lillian Gonzalez, who is a Professor of Accounting, and Dr. Boyce Lawton, who is the Dean of Student Success. Today's Terrier Talk topic covers Introduction to Advising, and this wonderful group worked together throughout the summer to support you as you start your advising journey until you get here for the fall semester. I also want to note that we're happy to answer any questions at the end of the talk, so feel free to post any questions in the Q&A feature of the chat. And Dr. Curry, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ashley. Dr. Lawton, you can take it from here. So hello and welcome to this presentation. Today we hope to give you some information for students transitioning into Wofford and for the important family members who are here to support them. This will be the first of 3 Terrier Talks. The second will be on June 20th, focusing on the class schedule plan, and the third will be on July 9th with tips for successful registration. So please mark your calendars for these important dates and plan to join us. All 3 of these meetings will be offered by our summer advising team, who is a group of advisors that provide support and guidance for students throughout their transitions to Wofford and to help them prepare for registration. But we'll also be able to refer you to other additional campus resources as well. We'll be happy to begin our work with Wofford's new students and those who support them as we introduce them to human and our tech resources that are available as you transition into college. So again, today we're going to focus on important dates, timelines to follow, and the offices and people who can answer questions. We also want to go a little bit further and offer you an intro into a liberal arts education, and we'll provide you with an overview on this mission and the values of a liberal arts education. First, students enter college knowing their majors, and some of them may not know what they want to major in. They just want to explore a little bit more. But whatever the case may be, this will be broken down into 4 categories, which will be your general education requirements, your major requirements. We have a 4-week class called interim and electives, and these are all essential for graduation and important for living well. We'll also introduce you to the summer advising team, and we'll serve as your primary academic resources as we look ahead at other advisor resources that you can depend upon. But we also want you to know additional resources such as the FYI tab, the new student information page, the Wofford catalog, and the interactive master schedule, as these will all be very important as you prepare for registration. But we want you to know that there are certain academic responsibilities that you as students have also, which can include making sure we have your AP and IB scores, and that you submit transcripts for if you want certain things to be assessed, such as your dual enrollment credits. But we'll look at all of these as you are completing your class schedule plans and then moving on to registration. But we also have additional resources available that will be helpful throughout, such as our Office of Accessibility Services, the Registrar's Office, Financial Aid, Athletic Compliance, in addition to advising. Today, you'll learn a little bit more about the foundational ideas for our approaches to advising. We want you to know that there are lots of support available to you, and we want you to know the responsibilities of students and advisors under what we call FERPA, which stands for the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. We also want you to be very familiar with our email address, and it's very easy and simple to remember. It's advising@wofford.edu, and this will be an essential resource for you because with the advising email, you can ask us important questions and information, especially as it revolves around planning and registration for the fall. But when you email us, please be sure to use your Wofford email address, because if you don't, we can just kind of give you general information. But if you respond to the advising email with your Wofford email address, then we can give you more specific information. But we want you to be sure that you read and these emails daily, because in the coming weeks, there will be a lot of important information coming out, and this will prove to be very key in creating an approved plan for fall 2024.
All right. Hi, everybody. FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. What is it? As students move into college, the requirements for educational institutions change significantly from high school to college. The law that lets a parent go into a high school and asked to see attendance records, grades, and permanent records now establishes the student as the owner of records held by the college. This is an important shift, one that families should discuss in the summer before the student begins college. Because family members who have had access to grades and schedules, attendance records, and bills, for example, do not have automatic access when the student is in college. These are privacy protected records, and in college, students own them and grant or deny access. Family expectations for access to bills, which students don't normally complain about, or grades, is a conversation to have now. Family decision-making about access should happen over the summer to reach agreements about what information will be shared and not shared. To facilitate appropriate sharing of bill and midterm and final grades, Wofford has a process called proxy access. The student logs in and grants access to people they want to have access to bills or grades, for example. But it's important to note that the students can change those designations at any time. Advisors can't override that decision. So you may be asking, what information can people supporting students have? Advisors connect family members and friends with resources published by the college. We can also answer questions whose answers begin with, at Wofford, students, note the S. So for example, at Wofford, students must take a philosophy course. Or at Wofford, we, note the plural, not an individual answer about a specific student. At Wofford, for example, we require 120 credit hours to graduate. So the summer advising team is available to student and family members alike, but we will be very careful to follow legal requirements as well as college processes appropriate for the student's stage of development. It takes patience as everyone is in transition, learning a new system. What about sharing your questions and concerns? Knowing whom to consult when questions arise in a new system is one of the biggest transitions. Those of us on the summer advising team can direct students and family members to resources whenever it's helpful. As Provost Schmitz said recently, the president or provost isn't the best resource for questions about schedules, housing, or other concerns. Instead, students can check with their advisor or other support resources on campus to learn who can address their interests or concerns. Now, we're going to be saying this a lot, but it's worth repeating. Students should make inquiries from their Wofford email account because of the privacy requirements we work in. Friends and families should encourage students to email advisors over the summer. Once they're on campus, they can also set appointments to meet with resources. Again, if they don't know whom to address, their advisor can help them identify that person. The resources on this slide can answer specific questions for students and general questions about college policies and practices for others, not specific questions about an individual student's records or situations, however. As we look ahead to students' registration and beginning classes, Understanding Wofford's curriculum is very important. So now let's turn our attention to that. Wofford's commitment to liberal arts education is expressed well in the college's mission statement. Wofford's mission is to provide superior liberal arts education that prepares its students for extraordinary and positive contributions to a global society. The focus of Wofford's mission is upon fostering commitment to excellence in character, performance, leadership, service to others, and lifelong learning. As you see, the focus is on developing the whole person for living with commitment to excellence and positive impact on individual lives and communities and the world. We know career and work are important, but we also know that individuals are more than their work. This education develops the individual's character and breadth of learning through general education requirements, elective courses, and interim coursework, as well as in major specific knowledge so that Wofford graduates lead, serve, and continue to learn throughout their lives. Sometimes students enter the college focused only on their major. So it's important to know from the beginning that the curriculum has 4 components, all part of a Wofford liberal arts education. A major is required for a Wofford degree. However, the college embraces learning and growth through wider education whose applications extend beyond and enhance the discipline-specific knowledge of the major. The Wofford College catalog is important for all students, including those planning their first semester, in considering transfer credit, exploration of majors, and registration in general. It's linked in My Wofford. You can find it by searching the web for Wofford Catalog. For example, as students transition into Wofford, the summer advising team fields a lot of questions about courses required for majors, and it's important to know about major requirements. In your new student information webpage, you'll find a link to suggested first courses for each major. It's important to know, however, that few majors require or suggest even that students begin in the first semester. Students majoring in chemistry and physics begin in the first semester. Students majoring in other sciences are strongly encouraged to begin in the first semester. Students majoring in a language begin in the first semester. Other majors, economics, computer science, accounting, government, philosophy, sociology, history, art history, English, for example, do not require that students begin in the first semester or even in the first year. If seats aren't open, there's no worry. But you may be wondering, so what courses do I take? Students must complete general education requirements to graduate along with 4 interim courses. They must also earn 120 hours. So for our requirements-focused students, we always say that yes, a major is required, general education courses are required, interims are required, and hours are required. So electives, free choice courses taken out of interest for breadth of learning, are also essential to graduation with 120 hours. The timing can and does vary. If you're focused on the major only, then let's confer about the flexibility of thinking and planning that will serve you well in completing your Wofford degree. Dr. Lawton, I'll turn things over to you.
Okay. So Professor, I've got to mute my computer. Can you still hear me? Okay. So Professor Gonzalez told us that all students have to complete general education requirements. And so this is a list of all the categories that every student will need to complete. And I would stress, for those of you who are listening who have friends or siblings who are going to Wofford, our liberal arts or our general education requirements have changed since last year. So there are a few things that are different than what you may have friends who have taken while they're here. Every student's going to need to complete a liberal arts 101 course. Every student has to take a wellness course. They have to take complete a foreign language requirement. They have to take 2 English courses, complete something in the fine arts distribution, have courses in global and diverse perspectives, social science, history, religion, philosophy, mathematics, and natural science. So one of the big questions is, how do you know that you're not going to get behind in your major coursework? And I would say that's why we're here in the summer. We have suggested first courses for people who know what their major is going to be, and probably at least a third of you have no idea what your major is going to be. That's okay too. Every single student is going to need to take these general education requirements, and so that's a great place to do that. And I'm going to put a plug in the FY tab, which I'll go over in just in about 2 more slides. There is an advising questionnaire. It's super important that you fill out that advising questionnaire, because when Dr. Curry, Dr. Baker, Professor Gonzalez, and I go through your schedule that you proposed, we're going to read what you planned on doing, and that'll help us make sure you're in the right classes. So please fill those out, and we'll help you figure out if the gen eds or other courses are important there. Throughout the summer, if you have questions, write us at advising@wofford.edu. Tell us about your interest, what you're going to do, or what you think you want to study, or what you know you don't want to study, and we'll go from there. Okay, so specifically, in your first semester at Wofford, every one of you is going to take between 13 and 16 hours. Every one of you is going to take FY 101. You may have heard of this course at other schools called University 101 or College 101, but it's our first year experience course. It is required of all students. Every one of you is going to take the Liberal Arts 101 course. And then we strongly, strongly suggest that every one of you take a foreign language course that is one of your placements in foreign language. If you have not taken the Modern Language Placement Test that was due June 1st, there are 85 of you still out there. You would have gotten an email from admissions this morning, and please go take that soon so that we can help you with that. But again, in that fear of what do I take, almost all of you are going to take a foreign language, but all of you are going to take in a section of FY and a section of LEBA 101. That's almost your whole schedule. Then you'll take 2 other courses in your first semester. We would suggest things like a general education course. If you know what your major is going to be, a course that's going to help you explore that major, or a general elective and something you're interested in. If you know you're going to be a chemistry major, we want you to be in a chemistry course your first semester. But if you think you want to be a government major or history major, it's fine if you don't take that in your first semester. There's plenty of room to move through that. Okay, so one more plug on this before we move to the FY tab. Wofford offers 4 learning communities this fall. And you can Google Wofford Learning Communities. You can look at them in the FY page that I'll show you there. Learning communities are 2 or more courses that are paired together. Every single one of the courses in all 4 of the learning communities this fall count toward general education requirements. So it doesn't matter what you're majoring in, these courses are going to move you forward towards your Wofford degree. The American Association of Colleges and Universities describes learning communities as high impact practices. And there is a demonstrated gain in educational experience and benefits for students who take part in these. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to the first year experience tab, the FY tab. I'm going to switch on my browser. Can you see the web page now? Okay, I'm seeing Professor Gonzalez's face nodding and telling me I'm okay. So I'm going to go first to the FY tab, which I've already clicked on, but it'll bring it back up. And I want to lead you through these things, and we're going to talk about learning communities and other things there. Pay close attention to this. You should be visiting this page very often. And I know that this is not normal in your life experience, but it will be for the rest of your life. You have to check your email every day for the rest of the summer and for the next 4 years. Like, end of story, have to do it. You can put that on your phone. I think right down here, you can tell us your mobile number, all those things, set up your mobile email. So that's going to tell you how to get it on your iPhone or your Android, other things. You want your email to be finding you every day. I don't check my email is no longer a valid excuse for not knowing what's going on. My 8th grade world history teacher taught me ignorance is no excuse for the law. And that's what always comes up to my mind there. You have to check your email. It's super important to make sure that this first semester goes well. So in the left-hand side, you can see things that were due June 1st, the advising questionnaire, the modern language placement test. If you haven't done those, go do those tonight if at all possible. Giving us your emergency contact information, housing plans, medical history, all those kind of things. Your t-shirt size. If you haven't told us your t-shirt size by June 15th, we kind of think you're not coming to Wofford because that's the one that everybody always fills out. So it takes all those through. Check my progress is super helpful. I'm going to click here. Obviously, I'm not a student, but we're going to see that it thinks I've done several things. So it will tell you as you go, you have done these things. So these are checked off the other things you need to do. This is a really good page to go back to all the time. And then download the calendar. That will give you a PDF that you can print and put on the refrigerator. I know we've got a combination of students and parents out there. My oldest just graduated from college about 2 weeks ago. My youngest is about to be a senior in college. This is a balance this summer over who's keeping track of your deadlines. You will be in charge of all your deadlines in just a few weeks. But these kind of things, it doesn't hurt to have a second set of eyes checking the dates, not doing the work for you, but checking the dates and reminding you. So I would say this is a great one for you to put up on the family fridge. Okay, so going on through here, as I look down, there's information about your scholarships and financial aid. That's not the purpose of our call today. We talked about knowing about accessibility services and getting set up with those if you had any kind of accommodations in high school or you're going to have any accommodations here. The information is right here on this main FY page. You would need to submit your accommodations request here. Sandy Hammett in the accommodations office, I know, is talking to students all summer long. It's an easy process here, but you have to get the documentation in and you have to follow the rules. For the 85 people who haven't taken the language placement test yet, or who haven't had Latin only or American Sign Language only, because we don't have those placement tests, you need to go through here. This tells you about the test, how to prepare for it, and then how to take it. And then you'll see your language placement test when you click on this. And again, every single entering student has the ability to take, unless they've had prior work, Arabic 101, Chinese 101, French 101, German 101. Most of our students are coming in with some history in Spanish, and so they'll have placements varying on their level. You cannot start at a language lower than your placement level. So if I was placed into Spanish 201, I cannot sign up for Spanish 101. The system won't let me do that. So know that the teachers will work with you in the first week of class to make those changes. Coming down here into the new student guide, it's divvied up by months. And so we call these drawers. So when I open up the June drawer, again, right there, set up my Wofford email. Make sure you do that. Accessibility accommodations, the advising questionnaire, your financial aid form. So these, it's still June. This is where you want to be working. If you need you to know what your Wofford ID is, you can click here and it will show it to you. It'll actually show it to you in a bunch of different places, but this is an easy place to get it. July registration, our next Terrier talk, which I think is on the 20th. It'll say right up here, actually. I got to move Professor Gonzalez's picture out of the way. June 20th, course schedule planning. That is something you want to see because that's super important. This is how to prepare for your fall classes. You can read about it right here. It'll take you through a whole bunch of things. There's a video that I made just 2 days ago, so likely you haven't seen that yet. That's going to lead you through things. Pay attention to these. These tell you all the things you need to worry about in the first year, but we'll go through that again on June the 20th. The other one that we said, or that I said I would show you in just a minute, learning communities. So if I click here, read more about the learning communities. These are descriptions of the 4 learning communities that any student can sign up for. And so I'm teaching one with Dr. Stutz on college student development. So you see, everybody in one class is also in the other class. It's a great way to get to learn friends, get to know more. One of our physicists is teaching a liberal arts course on lunar dreams, and he got a grant to do this research. It is not a science class. It is looking at liberal arts and things paired with a first-year seminar taught by one of our counselors. It would be great for anybody with any kind of interest in the skies or maybe interest in SpaceX. I'm traveling out to Los Angeles this weekend to see a former student who's a big dog at SpaceX now. But it's a great one there. This is a super relevant one, Technoculture from the World Wide Web to AI. So this is taught by a studio art professor and an English professor. And Dr. Kimberly Hall, who's over English, she leads our artificial intelligence working group for the college. So if you have any kind of interest there, that would be a great one. Climate Roots and Resilience is another phenomenal one. The only thing I'd say here, you have to have a language placement of Spanish 303 or higher. If you do, and right now there are about 60 people who do, this is a great course, 2 phenomenal teachers. You're going to be doing some work within the community. They have done work together on climate change as it affects different communities in Spartanburg and done a lot of research there. So that's a great option. If you decide you want to do one of those, you would click here to do the application. The hidden benefit of this, other than knowing people really well and having a good solid foundation to the college, if you're accepted into a learning community, then my office will register you for those 2 classes before the first day of registration on July the 23rd. And then where other students can register for their first 5 hours on July 23rd, you'll be registering for up to 5 hours more. So learning communities are great ways to get more of the schedule that interests you as well. Okay, I'm going to go back to FYI really quickly. So follow through the months. They'll take you through a good idea of what's coming up. Often when you're on these tabs, if I click the first word, it's going to take me to a different place than read more. So just remember that you might want to try both of these to see where they're going. This is a great thing for tracking what's coming on. New student information, that's a whole nother website that goes along with this well. But for parents on the call, the new student information tab, and you can always just Google Wofford new student information. This is not protected behind any kind of firewall. So parents and friends can read a lot more or can read all of this part that isn't protected, whereas the rest of the FYI tab is protected behind your login and information. More than anything, check your email, check your email, check your email every day. Here, these things are super important. Neither of my children go by their first names. They both have, William goes by Will and Andrew goes by Drew. If you don't want every teacher forever to call you by what's your first name on your birth certificate, you need to update your name right here. If at the same point you needed to update gender or pronouns, it's on the same form. But please do that, because that's what we see on the roster, and that's what we're going to call you. So do that. The other one, I'm one of the offices that will actually text you about things. I had a sophomore the other day, and I texted and I got a weird response back, and I had to say, I'm assuming I'm talking to somebody's mother. Go ahead and update your mobile phone in the system to your mobile phone and not mom's and dad's, so that when we text you, something's happened, where you need to pay attention to something that's actually going to you instead of somebody else. Okay, I think on that, I'm going to turn it back over to Professor Gonzalez, and I'm going to take you here and tell me if I missed something that I was supposed to say.
Okay. So over the summer, students have several time-sensitive things to do. Dr. Lawton just went through a bunch of those. It's best to start these processes now. And of course, when you have questions about any of them, write to us at advising@wofford.edu. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the exams that you all have taken. AB, IB exam scores. Since Wofford can't request AP or IB scores, please be sure to send them to Wofford. They generally arrive early in July. With registration later in the month, later in July, it's important to have all the records arrive on time so that the registrar's office staff can record them and make sure your records are up to date. In terms of AP credit, Wofford offers credit for scores on courses listed on the table here. You see the link there for scores of 4 and 5, and a score of 3 or above for AP Calculus BC. In terms of IB credit, Wofford offers credit for higher level IB scores of 5, 6, and 7. We don't offer credit for standard level scores. What about dual enrollment credit? Well, dual, joint, or concurrent enrollment courses are those courses that a student completed while in high school, but the courses were taken at an institution of higher education. Wofford College will accept approved courses earned through dual, joint, concurrent enrollment programs. These courses are treated like any other transfer work and must be approved by the registrar. So keep in mind of the following stipulations. The grade earned must be equivalent to a C or higher. The coursework must be similar to courses or programs offered at Wofford within the liberal arts curriculum. The coursework must be completed at an institution of higher education recognized by one of the 6 regional accrediting associations. Students must submit an official transcript from the institution where the courses were completed. Transcripts can be sent electronically to registrar@wofford.edu. Credit will not be awarded from a high school transcript. So that's why we need to get the official transcript. Follow up with the original institution on your request because sometimes it takes 2 requests. Only credit hours are awarded. The grades that you earned in those courses will not count in the GPA. The final decision in granting transfer credits resides with Wofford College's Office of the Registrar. And lastly, students may want to consult the transfer equivalency website, which is in the student tab of My Wofford, to view how their courses may apply to their Wofford degree. A lot of our summer questions are about dual enrollment or AP and IB transfer credit, so don't hesitate to write to advising@wofford.edu with your questions.
Can I pop in on one?
Sure.
Lucy Beckham students and Aiken High students in the last year, well, Lucy Beckham's new, y'all also have Cambridge courses, and we do accept some Cambridge credit. It doesn't show up automatically for us. So if you're from one of those schools and you think you have Cambridge credit coming to you, please write us at advising@wofford.edu because those are new to us. I think we've only been seeing them for about 2 years, but we do accept some of those.
Great. All right, so moving on. Looking ahead, we'll offer 2 more Terrier talks with more information that will help students complete a class schedule plan and prepare for 2 rounds of registration, the first on July 23rd and the second on July 25th. So 2 important dates. The class schedule plan process asks students to review required courses and suggested courses for their interests. So first, you're going to use the registration link in My Wofford to create a plan for fall 2024. And as Dr. Lawton said, he has a great video. He's got videos up that will be very helpful. Then you will use the class schedule plan link to submit it to advisors for review, feedback, and approval. With approval, students' advising holds will be released. As long as the advising hold is in place, they cannot register. So a note of caution. Every summer we have a few students who believe that completing the class schedule plan is all they need to do to register. But there's a lot more. They have to submit it for review and then receive an email from one of the members of the summer advising team saying that their advising hold has been released. Once the advising hold is released, then students will need to log into the registration system on July 23rd and 25th to register themselves. Completing the class schedule plan by July 15th is essential. It gives us time to review them and make sure that we have questions answered. Having it approved then will be very essential. In all this process, checking and responding to emails you receive at your wofford.edu email address is essential. Okay. On June 20th, we'll offer a more detailed look at the class schedule plan in a Terrier Talk number 2. And on July 9, we'll offer a Terrier Talk focused on the registration process. Please review the information linked in the FYI tab and the new student information page and plan to attend these important meetings. And again, write to advising@wofford.edu with questions. So we can't, we'll say it one more time. You've got to check your wofford.edu email, read notes from the advisors, and respond. So in summary, is that these are the best resources right now that you can consult. Students wofford.edu email address, the FYI tab in My Wofford, the new student information page, and the summer advising team at advising@wofford.edu. Now to review these really important summer dates, I'll turn things over now to Dr. Curry.
Thank you so much, Professor Gonzalez. And so far we've given you a lot of great information, and but probably the 2 biggest things we really want you to take away, in addition to everything else, is number 1, that Wofford email. have to respond with that Wofford email. And number two, please connect us at the advising.edu, advising@wofford.edu email. For the next slide, we have some very important summer dates that we want you to keep in mind. Today, you're attending the Summer Advising Orientation, so thank you for coming. As stated, June 20th, our class schedule plan Terrier Talk, and on July 9th, what to know about registration Terrier Talk. We'll go into even more depth about how to register for courses. But on July 15th, as Dr. Lawton said, those are when the class schedule plans are due. On the 23rd and 24th, round one of registration for fall 2024 will begin, and you will be able to register up for one academic course up to 5 hours. And on the 25th and 26th of July, round two of registration will begin. Afterwards, for the remainder of the month of July and August, we will go through schedule review, and updates by the advising team will take place. And Professor Gonzalez, she kind of went into detail about that. So please keep checking your Wofford email. And on August 26th, you will have your in-person schedule review meeting with your general education advisor. So now you may be wondering, so what happens after the summer? How does advising work then? Well, we're glad you're asked. As you begin your first semester, you have many advising resources to help you. Some of these are your major advisors. So if you have more specific questions about your majors, or you want to learn more about that particular major, you can schedule an appointment to meet with them. We have pre-professional advisors for healthcare, pre-law, pre-ministry. We also have our career center counselors. So your first semester is a good time to kind of figure out what you would like to, if you would like to be involved with internships or develop more professional skills such as interviewing. We also have study abroad advising to learn more about the programs and your timing for that. We have the Office of Student Success, which Dr. Lawton is actually the Dean of Student Success. So you can connect with other first generation programming, learn more about the Terrier Supply Closet, and consult with advisors about academic success strategies. And we also have our Office of Undergraduate Research and Postgraduate Fellowships. All of these offices, counselors, and other resources have very important information that's useful, and maybe even some questions that you haven't considered. And so for that, we have individuals and offices that are here to assist you. Remember, you can ask your advisor who you can talk to, but again, we can also answer some of these questions with our advising@wofford.edu email. So at this time, we have presented information that we think you will find very helpful to begin your academic transition. And hopefully we answered some of your questions, but if you have additional questions, we'll be happy to take them at this time.
I just opened up the Q&A chat and just saw that there is one that popped up when we first started talking about some of the registration. It says, what would a course example be for religion? And I didn't know, Dr. Lawton, if you wanted to maybe, they should have access to the student tab now too, in addition to the FYI tab in My Wofford as of last week. And so if maybe you wanted to show them where the fall course schedule is.
Get back there. So if I am on the FY tab, I believe the student menu, so you obviously won't have faculty or employee, but student should be there.
Mm-hmm.
Click on student. Then you've got two options, and they're both good for different reasons. First, I'm going to show you the interactive course schedule. So click here. The cool thing, especially when you're registering, I can say, show me all religion courses. What's going to matter the most is religion courses that have space available. And then I might want to say religion courses that are also first year friendly. And then that would show me I have New Testament, Islam, Confucianism, religions of the world, newer religions of the world, ethnography of religion, religion and medicine. So any of those that have the RS tag would fulfill the religious studies attribute for general education. If there's a course there like Religion 400, so I'm going to take away the first year friendly tab. If I go to none. Nope. If I go to there, and I'm going to say any courses. Then you'll see down here, if you took Religion 308, Sex and Bodies in the Hebrew Bible, maybe a great course, but it's not going to fulfill your religious studies general education requirement. So that would not be one you want to do. Everything you're looking for, you're going to want to keep with an FYF tab, and that's our way of trying to very gently tell you, do not take Government 470 in your first semester. And there's always one or two students who try. Don't take that course. So that's one of the schedules you can see. Going back, let me go back to, oops. So if I go back to the student tab, this other one I think is a little bit quicker and dirtier sometimes. If I go to class schedule fall 2024, that gives me a whole big screen. I can see a whole lot more information at once, and it's a little more compact. So I like to use both of them. I can't filter because obviously this is a PDF. Another thing that's going to help you when you register, anything that's green has space available. So if you see green, you know there's room in it. If you don't see green, there's not going to be a choice for you. So that's another way to quickly see what's happening there. When you're looking at both of these forms and you're in a panic of registration on July 23rd and especially on July 25th, make sure you're refreshing them. So this has a data time of 4:40 and currently it's 4:41. In a few minutes, that's going to be updated. So you're always going to want to hit refresh. Otherwise, you're going to be thinking things are full or things have space and they're full. Okay, so I'm going to go back.
Let's see. Okay, we've got when can we officially declare a major in our first semester or later on?
Professor Gonzalez, you want to go with that one?
At Wofford, you can declare whenever. It's not a difficult process. It's one piece of paper and a signature, and it's very easy. A couple of things that I will say. One, there is absolutely no rush. So we normally encourage you to just to keep exploring and take classes. And then in your sophomore year, that's when we would expect to see you come by to declare the major. The other thing is that some departments have more majors and they may not sign off on your declaration as a first year because their advisors are already very heavily involved in sophomores, juniors, seniors, and they may ask you, they will talk to you, they will answer your questions, they will give you guidance, they will everything, but they may not be able to officially sort of let you declare. So if you are interested already, you know what you want to major in, please know, even if you don't declare or the department won't take a declaration from a first year, that they will absolutely talk to you and give you the guidance and ask and answer all your questions about courses or other experiences. But typically to answer, you can declare at any time, but we really don't expect to see you do that until sophomore year.
And your first year advisors are kind of happy to get to know you. They're linked with your FY 101 class. And we all are kind of like, why are you bailing on us so quickly? So it's not the norm at Wofford for you to declare, especially in your first semester. We're unlike other schools, but liberal arts schools generally, we want you to have your general education advisor first. There are some of you, so for South Carolina students in every state, well, most of the states in the Southeast have a lottery program. So for our South Carolina lottery students or lottery scholarship students, there are STEM enhancements. If I'm going to major in a science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And for those students, they need to declare before the first day of their sophomore year. So there will be some South Carolina students who probably after registration in the spring, that's when those departments are ready for them to do it. But no, you just need to get it done before you arrive back on campus. So the last month or so of the spring semester would be appropriate for them.
And I will say that the general education advisors know what the initial courses that you need to take for the different majors. So you'll be getting, and we are the first ones, if we don't know, to pick up the phone and call a colleague in that department to make sure that we're giving you accurate information. So I think you'll find that you'll be on track in that first year.
The next question is about language placement. And so if a student has requested an override for the placement they received, how long does that typically take to get a response about whether they've been granted an override or not?
Okay, so I want to be super careful and respectful how I answer this question, but I'm so glad you asked it. I'm going to share again. And I'm going to go back to the student tab and, FY tab.
Mm-hmm.
And if I go into information about language placement, somewhere in here, it talks about students who want to request Spanish 101 request form. All students are also granted permission to enroll in the 101 course if the language is not studied in high school except for Spanish. Students wanting to register for Spanish 101 should complete the request form. And I believe the request form says, it's supposed to mean, so maybe it's not saying that as clearly, but what happens with Spanish, if you didn't take Spanish in high school and you want to try to get in Spanish 101, after all the language placements have been made, then we were going to go to these that way for students who didn't take Spanish in high school. But for every single language, if you were placed into Chinese 303 or Arabic 303 or French 201, that placement in that language stays. In the first week of class, all of the professors are working very hard to make sure the placements are correct. And so again, this year is the first year we've had both your high school transcript in Spanish and your language placement test in Spanish. So they feel really confident that if they placed you in 201, you should be in 201. And so your override won't be considered because it's not meant to drop you down a level. It's meant to get you to move into Spanish from somewhere else. And again, if you feel really uncomfortable, talk with your professor in that first week of class, and they'll do that. Another thing that I like to add to that piece, if you were to move down to Spanish 101, you have to take a 101 and a 102 language. But if you're in Spanish 200 or Spanish 201, one semester and you're done. So if you move down, you're going to have Spanish for twice as long than you would if you didn't. And again, they've been here. Most of our language professors have been here for a very long time. I've been here and I'm not a language teacher, but I've seen these placements happen for 3 decades now. They're pretty good about placing you where you need to be. And if not, they'll work with you.
Is there somewhere to get a sample schedule for your major for the first semester?
Yes. You want me to go find it?
That would be great.
There it is.
Sure. Or just say where it is. It's on the website.
So under new student information, and I'll maybe qualify the yes, there's a page for major courses that you need to take in your first semester. And so it will say in bio, and I'm going to go there first because so many people are thinking they want to go to med school, at least when they enter. It's going to say in your first semester, we would recommend that you either take Chemistry 123 or Bio 150. And people get really nervous because I want to be a bio major and I didn't get a Bio 150 class. There's a whole group of students that feel like Chemistry 123 is a better start because of the way the curriculum works. So either of those two classes are really good options for you. Please don't worry about that. If you want to be a French major, you need to take a French course your first semester. But if you want to be a history, government, religion, sociology, anthropology major, you're not going to get one of those first semester. If you want to major in finance or accounting, so Professor Gonzalez, what are my chances of getting an accounting course first semester?
First year of fall semester, there's very little chance. Very little. Maybe a couple might get in at the drop ad, but that's it.
Like, no, you're not getting a business course until your junior year, most likely, because they're taken by people. So read that page, and then and you see we're talking more. I'm feeling bad for Dr. Curry. This is Dr. Curry's first time through the cycle. She's done advising for years at other places, but that's why we're over talking, because she's learning as we're going. Professor Gonzalez and I have been here between us probably 50 years.
23 over here.
Okay, so 50 years exactly between us. Like, we got this. The 3 of us are 3 of the 4 who are answering advising at Wofford.edu. We're all nice people. We're all smiling. We talk to each other many times a day over email, asking what is right, is it not? When you get an answer from us, that's one reason we like to be on the screen, see our faces, know we're nice. We don't, we want to help you. But if we say it's going to be okay, we promise it's going to be okay because we've seen it with thousands of students before. It'll be all right. So your first year semester may not look like what you thought. It will definitely include FY 101. It will definitely include LEBA 101. And then probably it will include a language. Some of you have finished your language requirements elsewhere. Some of you are native speakers holding a passport that are coming directly from a non-English speaking country. Those you're good there. But otherwise, it's a pretty lockstep first semester.
The last question I see on here is about AP credit. And if you have AP credit in something that you're planning to major in, do you still need to take that course that you received credit for?
That is a great question. It depends. You have the ability to tell us you do not want to get credit for that AP course. Things that would frequently maybe surprise people, we give AP credit for Bio 101 and Bio 102, but you're getting 8 hours of credit, that's great, but if you're a bio major, you still have to take the intro bio course of Bio 150. Chemistry, if you made a 5, you're fine, no problem with that. If you made a 4 and you're uncomfortable, you might want to consider retaking that or starting in Chem 124 instead. With my own kids who are both STEM majors, they both had AB Calc and BC Calc. They did really well. They felt really comfortable and they were fine moving up. But I know for some people who maybe got a 4 in AB Calculus, you're worried. If you decide that you want to retake calculus, that's okay. So I think you can talk with us. We are happy to look at your transcripts. We are happy to put you in touch with the department chair and to see what is the best move for me, because it's awesome to use AP to get ahead, but you don't want to find yourself hurting in the first semester if you had credit. So, and the same thing can be done for dual enrollment. You don't have to take your dual enrollment credit if you don't want to take it. And we only take 24 hours. So there will be 10 students out of the class who max out their AP dual enrollment IB Cambridge credit. And usually I'll work with you on that to see, let's take these, but not those. And if we decide after one semester that we wish we would have taken something else, we can switch that. That's okay.
I don't see any other questions in the chat. If anybody else has any, feel free to drop those there. I just want to note too, when Dean Lawton was on that FYI tab on that right upper corner, you could see where it said Terrier Talks. It has the upcoming Terrier Talks, and then right below that it says past Terrier Talks. So you can see the recording from last week about applying for housing, which is the deadline's the 28th. So if you haven't watched that video and haven't done an application for housing and selected a roommate or looked for roommates, please go there and watch that video. And this video from the conversation we just had should be posted there in past as of tomorrow. So we will send the recording over to our friends in marketing and communications, and they will get that up for us there. So all Terrier Talks after they happen will be posted here in your FYI tab as well. Hold on, I see another question coming in. Is calculus needed only for chem majors or anyone wanting to take the chemistry intro courses, say for med school requirements?
I was going to see if you wanted to jump, but I will. I'm the math teacher in the group. Calculus is required for chemistry majors. Calculus is required for physics majors. Calculus is required for, in the class coming in, calculus is required for a Bachelor of Science in Economics. You can take it for a BA in Business Economics, but you don't have to anymore. But for economics, you do. Calculus used to be required for med schools. Now it's required for a few, but not many at all. It's definitely not required for any of the South Carolina medical schools. Calculus is required for a math major. Calculus is required for a computer science major. I think that's it. Used to be required for finance.
Yeah, not anymore.
But it's
Statistics now.
Yeah. Stats is taken by, Stats is the second most taken course on campus next to LEBA, next to LEBA 101 and maybe English 102, which are required. But you never know when you're going into college as a French major and you come out as a math major like me. So take it if you're interested.
Don't see any other questions. So, but if any questions pop up for you, I think we've reiterated, but advising at wofford.edu, and anyone is happy to jump in and answer your questions there. So for now, I think I'll say thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you next Thursday for our next Terrier Talk.
Thank you all.
Thank you.